If you are just throwing something on to try and cover up your upper arms, it's making you look really frumpy. And number two, it's making it so obvious that you really are trying to cover something up. So in this video, I am going to share a couple of different ways that you can still cover up your upper arms and look stylish doing it. And then for those of you who sometimes don't mind showing your arms or think that there's a time and a place to show your arms, or even maybe a little bit on the fence about whether you should cover them, show them, I'm going to show you a little magic styling trick that's actually going to make your upper arms look narrower. For those of you that are new to me, my name is Tracy Gold. I'm a personal stylist and designer. I've been styling and designing for women just like you for over 20 years. I also am in my 50s dealing with my own body changes. And so these tips that I'm going to share with you today have been tried and tested not just on my body and my body shape, but the tons of women that I have styled and designed for. The first and easy way to cover up your upper arms, and it actually works a little bit as a magic trick to make them seem smaller, is a flared sleeve. When we have the width at the bottom, it makes everything above it seem narrow in comparison. And that works its magic. However, there is a little caveat in this one. You really do need this to be made out of breathable fabric, because if it is made out of a synthetic fabric, you're going to sweat and it's not going to be pleasant, and in the end you're just not going to cover up your upper arms because it's just way too hot. Now this way is going to work really well for you if you don't have such big girls. Okay, so what has that got to do with your upper arms? Well, actually a lot, girlfriend, because our bodies are one thing. They're all connected. And often when we try and just cover up one part, we can actually make our whole body look bigger. And this is one of the challenges. If you are well blessed with girls, and let me tell you, I'm very envious of that. But if you are well blessed with girls, sometimes this volume, especially if it ends kind of over here, is actually going to make this part of your body seem wider. So what is the alternative? Now you are going to need a slightly slimmer sleeve. It doesn't have to be tight. It just needs to be slim enough so that there is a little bit of a gap in between your top and the side body and your upper arm. Because if it all goes into one, it's going to make you look bigger. So what does this look like in real life? What kind of styles are you looking for? Well, if you don't have such big girls and you can wear a flared sleeve, then I would suggest that you find either dresses or tops or blouses that have already got that flare in the sleeve, have already got a sleeve for your upper arm coverage, but are in breathable fabrics so you don't end up schwitzing. Now, if you do love this kind of styling, but for your bust size, it's not going to work, ideal if you can look for something a little bit more tailored in the sleeve. It doesn't have to be tight, like I said, but just a little bit of tailored. And by the way, for my clients, I'm able to customize these kind of things specifically for your body shape, which is always really, really helpful. Now, normally when you go to find a dress that actually works for your body shape, you may find the perfect shape and the perfect dress, but then it's sleeveless. And now what do? Well, think ahead of time before you buy the dress. So what kind of cover-up can you wear so that you're not just throwing any old thing on, and again, we're stuck with frumpy and looking like you're trying to cover up. So there are two different options with this kind of a dress. You get a cover-up that is in the same fabric. This is always a fantastic find if it's possible for you, because that way it doesn't look like you're just throwing something on. In fact, it can look like it's all one dress, and it still gives you the upper arm coverage. Of course, if you do have a bigger bust, then my recommendation would be to make sure that that is tailored a little bit for you so that it doesn't add extra volume, or you can pick up on one of the prominent colors in the print. So this way, it is working together with the dress that you're wearing, and it doesn't look like you're trying so hard. The other way of going about this is to wear one solid color. So here I have a top and a skirt, but The top is obviously a one shoulder, which by the way, is also a good way of de-emphasizing your upper arms. We'll talk a little bit about that later on in the video. But if you truly do need to and want to cover your upper arms, then this is a great way of doing it. If you're enjoying these tips, make sure to subscribe to this channel. It goes a long way to get it out there to more women just like you. Because it is a solid navy, or if it's a black, or if it's an ivory, if it's whatever solid color, it's going to be much easier to find something that's going to blend well and work perfectly with it. So this is obviously made of the exact same fabric. It doesn't necessarily have to be. You just want to make it look intentional. Now it looks like you're making a style statement because still we have that lovely asymmetrical line of the neckline, but your arms are covered. Now, this is one of my personal favorite ways to cover up upper arms, but not look like you're trying too hard. Let's be honest, when we're in midlife, our shoulders are still pretty okay. So you can show a little bit of shoulder, and that way it doesn't look like you're trying to cover something up. In fact, you're kind of showing off a little bit of something, and you still have the upper arms covered. This is such an easy way to do it. Dress is so much fun, and it does all the things we need it to do. Now, if you're willing to step a little bit outside of your comfort zone, or maybe you're even on the fence about this whole thing of covering up your upper arms, then this is a magic trick for you that can let you step out of that comfort zone, but with confidence. The flared sleeve. This is the magic trick. Why? Because with anything that is flared, it makes everything underneath it seem narrow in comparison. And so it's exactly the same with the upper arms. That flare just puts the focus on the actual flare and not on your upper arm. Plus, look, it really does make it look narrower, and it's all about the comparison. And so this is a really fun trick, especially if you're about to step outside of your comfort zone, or maybe you want a little bit of upper arm coverage, but you're not ready for the whole bang shoot. This, girlfriends, is a wonderful way to do it. Oh, and it works perfectly whether you have a bigger bust or not. The second way that you can disguise your upper arms is by just taking the detail away from them completely. So, as an example, this is a lovely cutout neckline. And where does it take the eye to? Right to there, not to the upper arms. In fact, it cuts the expanse of the upper arms. Also really good if you have bigger girls. It's going to work well for you. If you have bigger shoulders or you just feel like it, this is a great way to do it. Sometimes when we focus so much attention on the parts that we're trying to cover up and disguise, we end up making them look more prominent. Whereas what this is doing is taking the eye to something that you want seen rather than what you don't want noticed. And remember, girlfriend, when you look in the mirror, you're seeing yourself with your own critical eye, all the things that you don't like. No one else is looking at you like that. It's just you. Now for the bonus tip. And this is really around those kind of tops or dresses that have a bit of a sleeve, but not really covering the upper arm. So this is the trick. If the sleeve is at an angle, it's going to be more slimming. It's drawing the eye down and across. However, I'm going to do a comparison here. If the sleeve is straight across like that versus at an angle, can you see the difference? So a cap sleeve isn't a cap sleeve, isn't a cap sleeve. At an angle, it's going to make you look slimmer. If the sleeve is like this, either forgo it completely or even consider maybe a sleeveless. I know that sounds bizarre, but look at the difference. Can you see the difference here? So this is with it going across, cutting across the widest part of my upper arm, and this is sleeveless. To me, the sleeveless actually looks a lot better. So again, emphasizing the fact that sometimes when you are trying so hard to cover up, it's actually going to make it look bigger. So if you have found these tips helpful, but you're not quite sure that you know how to implement them, or you have a ton more questions, then I do offer one-on-one styling sessions, both in person and online. And to make it even easier for you, I have a free 15-minute style discovery call so that we can just chat and see if it's really right for you. And I'll be honest with you, girlfriend, if it is, or even if it isn't. So I'll put the link in the description box below. Till next time, see you soon.